If you've been paying attention to the tech world lately, you've probably noticed something interesting happening in 2026. Linux isn't just surviving anymore. It's not just the operating system for programmers, hackers, or that one tech guy in your friend circle. Linux is winning. And not in a loud, flashy, headline-grabbing way. It's winning quietly, steadily, and strategically. The real reason Linux is dominating in 2026 isn't what most people think. It's not just about being free. It's not just about privacy. It's not even just about performance. The real reason Linux is winning is much deeper, and almost nobody is talking about it. For years, Linux was seen as the alternative, the backup option. If you don't like Windows or macOS, you can try Linux choice. It was the system you installed when you were frustrated, when your computer got slow, when you were tired of updates forcing restarts at the worst possible moment. But in 2026, something changed. Linux is no longer the escape route. It's becoming the first choice. To understand why, you have to look at what's happening in the broader tech ecosystem. Computing is no longer just about your personal laptop. It's about cloud services, AI workloads, edge devices, containers, microservices, cybersecurity, and distributed systems. And here's the part people don't say out loud enough. Linux runs almost all of it. The modern digital world is built on Linux. Most web servers run Linux. Most cloud infrastructure runs Linux. The majority of containers are deployed on Linux-based systems. Android, which dominates the global smartphone market, is built on the Linux kernel. Even many networking devices and smart appliances run some form of Linux under the hood. So what changed in 2026? The real shift is that the advantages Linux had in the backend have finally become critical on the desktop and for everyday users. For a long time, average users didn't care what powered the cloud. They cared about convenience, software compatibility, and familiarity. Windows and macOS provided that. But now, the lines between personal computing and cloud computing are blurred. People use web apps more than ever. They use AI tools in the browser. They store files in the cloud. They collaborate online. The operating system matters less for legacy desktop software and more for performance, security, and flexibility. And in that environment, Linux thrives. One major factor is hardware efficiency. In 2026, hardware prices haven't exactly become cheaper. In many regions, especially developing markets, buying a new high-end machine is still a significant investment. Linux has become the go-to solution for extending the life of hardware. Lightweight distributions run smoothly on older systems that struggle with modern proprietary operating systems. Users are discovering that a 5-year-old laptop can feel brand new again with Linux. That's powerful. When people realize they don't need to spend money to get speed back, they start questioning the traditional upgrade cycle. Another critical factor is control. In recent years, users have grown increasingly aware of how much control they've given up. Automatic updates, forced cloud integrations, background telemetry, and locked-down ecosystems have slowly eroded trust. Linux offers something radical in 2026: user sovereignty. You choose when to update. You choose what to install. You choose how your system looks and behaves. You can strip it down to the bare minimum or turn it into a powerhouse development machine. That level of control feels refreshing in an era where most platforms try to decide for you. But the biggest reason Linux is winning isn't technical. It's cultural. We are living in a time where people value transparency more than ever. Open source software aligns perfectly with that mindset. The idea that anyone can inspect the code, contribute to it, modify it, and redistribute it creates a sense of collective ownership. Linux isn't owned by a single corporation. It's driven by communities, companies, and contributors from all over the world. That decentralization makes it resilient. It evolves based on real needs rather than purely commercial priorities. In 2026, developers are a major driving force behind technology decisions. And developers overwhelmingly prefer Linux environments. From programming languages to container orchestration tools, Linux provides a native experience that feels natural. Development workflows are smoother. Command line tools are powerful and consistent. Package managers are efficient. When developers choose Linux for work, they often choose it for personal use as well. And as more companies become developer-led, Linux adoption spreads organically inside organizations. There's also the rise of privacy-conscious users. Data breaches, AI data scraping controversies, and invasive advertising practices have pushed people to reconsider their digital footprint. Linux distributions have responded by prioritizing minimal data collection and transparency. Many distributions don't collect telemetry at all. For users who are tired of feeling like the product, that's a huge selling point. Performance is another underrated factor. Linux systems tend to have lower overhead. They boot faster. They use fewer system resources. They can be tuned extensively. In 2026, with AI tools running locally on many machines, efficiency matters more than ever. Running local AI models requires optimized resource management. Linux handles CPU scheduling, memory allocation, and GPU integration in ways that make it attractive for power users experimenting with AI at home. Gaming, once Linux's weakest point, has dramatically improved. Compatibility layers, better driver support, and native titles have closed much of the gap. Many gamers are realizing they can get comparable performance without being locked into a single ecosystem. That shift has symbolic power. When gamers start taking Linux seriously, the perception changes for everyone. Education is also playing a role. Schools and universities are increasingly adopting Linux-based systems because they are cost-effective and customizable. Students who grow up using Linux don't see it as intimidating. For them, it's normal. That generational familiarity is shaping the future user base. Enterprise adoption has amplified the momentum. Companies value stability, security, and scalability. Linux provides long-term support releases, predictable update cycles, and robust security models. Containers and orchestration platforms integrate seamlessly. When businesses standardize on Linux servers, it becomes easier to support Linux desktops internally. The ecosystem effect kicks in. But here's the part nobody is talking about enough. Linux wins because it doesn't try to lock you in. In a world where every service wants to trap you inside subscriptions and proprietary formats, Linux represents freedom. You can switch distributions. You can customize interfaces. You can replace components. You're not trapped by default settings. That flexibility builds trust. And trust is currency in 2026. Another hidden advantage is modularity. Linux systems are built in layers. If something breaks, you can often fix just that component. You're not forced into an all-or-nothing reinstall. Advanced users appreciate this deeply. It creates a sense of empowerment. You're not helpless in front of your machine. There's also the global factor. In many parts of the world, Linux adoption is accelerating because it reduces dependency on foreign corporations. Governments and institutions value technological independence. Open-source software provides transparency and the ability to audit systems for security. In a geopolitically complex world, that matters. The AI revolution has further accelerated Linux adoption. Most AI frameworks are optimized for Linux environments. Data scientists and machine learning engineers often develop on Linux because it mirrors production servers. As AI becomes mainstream, more people encounter Linux indirectly and realize its advantages. In 2026, Linux also benefits from maturity. The desktop environments are polished. Installation processes are simpler. Hardware compatibility is better. The barrier to entry is lower than ever. You no longer need to be a command line expert to use Linux effectively. That myth is slowly fading. Another subtle reason Linux is winning is community support. Forums, documentation, tutorials, and open collaboration make problem-solving faster. When users encounter issues, they can search and find solutions shared by others. That collective intelligence creates resilience. Subscription fatigue is real. Users are tired of paying recurring fees for basic functionality. Linux, being free and open source, reduces financial friction. Even when companies build services around Linux, the core system remains accessible. Security is often misunderstood. Linux isn't magically immune to threats, but its permission model and user separation reduce risk. Updates are centralized through package managers. Users can patch vulnerabilities quickly. In 2026, cybersecurity awareness is high, and Linux's architecture aligns well with best practices. The real reason Linux is winning, though, comes down to alignment with modern values. Openness, flexibility, efficiency, and transparency. It fits the decentralized internet movement. It fits the rise of independent creators. It fits the shift toward user empowerment. What's fascinating is that Linux didn't need to reinvent itself completely. It simply matured while the world changed around it. The things that once seemed like weaknesses, such as fragmentation and diversity of distributions, have become strengths. Users can choose systems tailored to their needs. Minimalist setups for old hardware, full-featured desktops for creators. Hardened systems for security enthusiasts. Even remote work has contributed. Developers working from home often set up Linux environments for productivity. Companies supporting bring-your-own-device policies are more open to Linux. Collaboration tools now run in browsers, reducing compatibility issues. And let's not ignore the psychological factor. Switching to Linux feels like taking control. It feels intentional. It's not just another update pushed overnight. It's a choice. That sense of agency resonates deeply in 2026. Linux is winning because it's adaptable. It scales from tiny I/O devices to massive supercomputers. It runs on budget laptops and enterprise servers. It powers startups and research labs. Few platforms have that range. The narrative that Linux is too hard is fading. Modern installers guide users step by step. Desktop environments are intuitive. Software centers simplify installation. For everyday tasks like browsing, emailing, streaming, and document editing, Linux performs seamlessly. Meanwhile, frustration with proprietary ecosystems continues to grow. Forced design changes, ads and system interfaces, aggressive cloud prompts, these things push users to explore alternatives. Linux becomes not just an option, but a solution. Perhaps the most powerful reason Linux is winning is that it encourages learning. When users dive deeper, they discover how their systems work. They understand processes, services, permissions. That knowledge builds confidence. And confident users spread the word. In 2026, the tech world values interoperability. AP is open standards, cross-platform tools. These are the norm. Linux thrives in environments where standards matter more than brand loyalty. So when people ask why Linux is suddenly everywhere, they often look for a single event, a single update, a single controversy. But the truth is more profound. Linux has been building this momentum for decades. The world just finally caught up. It's not about hype. It's not about marketing campaigns. It's about alignment. Linux aligns with where technology is going. Decentralized infrastructure, cloud-native computing, AI-driven workflows, privacy awareness, hardware efficiency, community collaboration. The real reason Linux is winning in 2026 is that it represents freedom in a digital age increasingly defined by control. It gives users the power to shape their computing experience. It trusts them. And in return, users are trusting it. This shift isn't loud, it's steady. More dual boot systems. More Linux laptops sold pre-installed. More developers recommending it. More tutorials appearing online. More businesses standardizing on it. It's a quiet revolution. Linux is winning because it empowers without demanding. It evolves without forcing. It performs without bloating. It secures without spying. It scales without locking. And the most surprising part, the majority of people contributing to this shift don't even see themselves as part of a movement. They just want a system that works, respects them, and stays out of their way. Linux delivers that. In 2026, the conversation isn't, should I try Linux? It's, why didn't I switch sooner? That question says everything. The real reason Linux is winning isn't about beating another operating system. It's about redefining what users expect from their technology: transparency, control, performance, community, longevity. Linux isn't perfect, no system is. But it embodies principles that resonate strongly right now. And that resonance is driving adoption in ways that no marketing campaign ever could. So if you're wondering why Linux is suddenly everywhere, why developers praise it, why businesses rely on it, why students learn it, why gamers test it, and why creators recommend it, the answer isn't complicated. Linux didn't change overnight. The world did. And Linux was ready. That's the real reason Linux is winning in 2026. And now that you see it, you can't unsee it.